So recent years have seen substantial scholarly and public discussion of the civic and political practices of both children and youth. Scholars, youth advocates, educators, policymakers, and the news media all generally agree that young people's political participation is a valuable social good to be promoted and cultivated. However, there's some substantial differences to be found in how different groups and institutions think about the purpose and the function of youth civic engagement. So in my talk tonight, I'm going to outline two contrasting and often conflicting approaches to the subject. Before I do that, though, I want to note just a couple of things. First, I'm talking specifically about the political participation of minors, those under the age of 18. So while some of the discourse on youth politics and youth civic engagement focuses on young adults, I'm more interested in how we as a society think about the political rights, responsibilities, and capacities of minors, of young people who don't have access to the vote. They're by definition a group that's not fully included in the political process, and I think that's important to how we think about their political selves. Second, I'm also going to note that by talking about minors, I'm actually collapsing children and teenagers a little bit, and there's some problems with that, and there are reasons we would want to talk about them separately, but I don't have much time today, so I'm going to talk about them together. So I'm sort of using both terms almost interchangeably, generally speaking about young people under the age of 18. So when we look at public discourses, civics curricula, and the assortment of after-school civic and political engagement programs for children and teens in the US, I argue that we can see two distinct and opposite tendencies. On the one hand, the approach that I'll refer to as citizens in the making emphasizes the training of young people for their future participation in political life. And on the other hand, what I call the youth rights approach claims that young people have important political contributions to make as young people in the present. And these two approaches rely on very different assumptions about the political capacities of children and youth, and they produce very different kinds of civic engagement programs. So Hava Gordon, who's a sociologist of youth activism, writes that much of the public discourse on youth politics presents youth as citizens in the making, and that this is, in her words, a model of ambiguous social belonging, where young people's political participation can be imagined, but only in terms of their adult eventuality.